Hello, everyone, and welcome to Weekend Rental, episode 99. We are your gaming and geek culture podcast. As always, my name is Ryan, and I'm joined by Andy.
Hey.
And Biff.
What's going on, guys?
All right, if you enjoy our content, check out the other geeky-related goodness over at geekade.com. There's podcasts on video games, movies, comics, and more. Geekade, what's your geek? So we are on a buy, rent, burn episode. So allow me to explain this to new listeners. Maybe you've not heard a buy, rent, burn from us before. What this is our segment where we pick 3 games, typically for a given system. We'll play them all individually and then decide which game we would personally buy, rent, or burn. And by burn, we mean light that baby on fire. So the console this go round is going to be the Super Nintendo or the Super Famicom. In fact, these all happen to be games that if you're a Nintendo Switch owner and you have Switch Online, they're all available through the Nintendo Switch Online Super Nintendo collection. So the games we were going to be talking about here, which I did get the official list, so I knew what to call them because I wasn't sure on one. We played Panel de Pon. We played Mario's Super Picross and Super Poyu 2. Now, not only are all these games available for the Super Famicom / Super Nintendo, they are also all puzzle games or puzzle related. Still not sure about Picross. I don't know. I'm not sure what genre that is, but should we go through these in the order that I read them? I guess no particular order. We can talk about Panel de Pon first. If you are not familiar with this game, you might be more familiar with its US release, which was Tetris Attack. It's a puzzle game where you're doing match 3 or more of a similar color. And instead of blocks dropping down a la Tetris, blocks move up from the bottom of the screen, and you are given the ability to slide, swap places with two of the cubes, I guess, at any given time. And it's a race against the top of the screen to match them up, clear them off the screen, and keep on going. Also has this version, having not played it before, but having played Tetris Attack, this has got some pretty cool art, like very Japanesey, cute anime, like cutesy stuff. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, it's Japanese, so that's that's a start. You know, when we chose these games and we decided to jump into them, I was like, how are we even going to explain these? Because we don't even know the actual name of the game. And so, of course, a ton of text comes up. And with any type of puzzle game, there's tutorials and things that pop up. Well, it's all in Japanese. So you have no idea what's going on. You just jump right into it. I asked Ryan to tell me, is it the squishy ball one? Is it the square one, or is it the Mario stone thing? And so we're on the squishy. No, we're not on the squishy one. We're on the block.
The block one.
The block one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, the block one. Yeah. So this one is actually. So obviously the art is really cool, especially right when you start up the game or let the menu run a little bit. It's just really cool. Very Japanese, like you said, cutesy art stuff. I kind of forgot, for some reason it just looked really good on even like the Super Famicom or any of those types of games that I play on my normal TV or whatever. It doesn't look that good, and for some reason it looked really good on the Switch for some reason. But this game is a mind bender for me because it's not Tetris where you're stacking basically up and down. It's left to right. And that is really confusing for me to move that way. And so you find yourself just focused on one side of the board sometimes. And I think that was a little troubling for me. I did get to level 16. I think that's a big deal on
Nice.
easy. So
I got to 14 on normal, so suck it, Tiff.
so that means we're equivalent.
Does it?
Right. Well, 16 on easy, 14 on normal cancels itself out.
Maybe.
Science.
Can't argue with science.
Yeah, science.
I know what you mean, though, because it's like it's really frustrating to not be able to move them up and down.
Yeah,
like it's just like, oh, I see a match right there, and it's hard to pull yourself away from that to find, you know, a different match or manufacture a match, you know, by moving blocks to empty spots or whatever. But
it does kind of like do a good job of making you get extremely anxious as the blocks are getting to the top, and then the music starts kicking in, like a lot of puzzle games do when you know you're getting to the end, or even like bust a move, or, you know, bubble bobble stuff that you know, it can stress you out. And I did find myself getting that, where I get stuck, obsessing about, why can't I just get that one? There's a space in between, and you're basically screwing yourself at that point. But the music's starting to ramp up, and I'm like, no. And it does a pretty good job of getting you fired up.
Yeah, I like to play the middle. Like I just try to clear the middle, and then I tower the sides up, and then I can just kick them down and like crumble it in on itself.
See, you play it too smart.
But I love the rhythm of this game. I love how you'll be panicking, as you said. The music gets crazy. You're at the top, and you're just looking at it, and nothing makes sense. And I'll have like seconds in this game where I'm like, "There's nothing. I got no moves. And then all of a sudden, something clicks, and I make like 6 in a row, and then I'm good again. And it's just weird. And I think it's because you're so conditioned to like the Tetris style puzzle game, or the Dr. Mario, or the Poyu. Like that's so much more traditional. So kind of like wrapping your head around thinking differently in this game. I think obviously if you played it more, that would become normal, but yeah, it was really weird. I found myself having a good time with it though. You kind of get in the flow, and then it's good. It's not too challenging, but for a simple mechanic, they make it a lot of fun.
I love how there were so many times that I would line 3 up, and it was completely unintentional. And majority of the time I was like, I had no idea that was even an option, or I was about to cross something out. And so most of the time it was happy accident, you know, where you're getting 6 in a row. I was like, nope, I just moved a block because I was looking at something on the right, and all of a sudden I cleared a whole bunch of stuff on the left. So that's pretty satisfying.
I wish they gave you a little bit more for bigger combos, because, you know, just stopping the clock a little bit, it helps, but it's not very rewarding, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no like get yourself out of a pinch sort of moment, because there's no real added benefit.
It just doesn't feel the same as getting a Tetris, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because especially when you get to those points where you've gotten like 4 of one color, and then you like comboed 2 other triplets, it seems like you should get like the bottom 2 rows or something wiped to give you the bigger payout.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd agree. It could use some balancing there.
It is kind of nuts how, I mean, this game came out over there. It's pretty Japanese, but like they must have some sort of storyline and characters, because some of this stuff ended up in Smash even, you know? So
really?
Yeah.
What ended up in Smash?
The flower weapon, I think, is from this game.
Oh, okay.
That is really interesting.
Yeah. So
fire flower?
No, there's that flower stick that you hit people with, and then the flower gets bigger and bigger on their head. It takes more damage.
Oh. I'm a blank on that, but I believe you.
Yeah. We
should translate the story. Try to understand what the heck is going on. Because you do pick characters.
Right.
You know, that's just really confusing to me.
I know there was some of the spirits or something or whatever too in this last Smash too. From this game.
I could see that.
So it's weird that like that's such a traditional thing over there, but over here it's like, Tetris Attack, let's make a Kirby one, let's make a Pokemon one. And, you know, it's just like they just put it on other things without really making a thing. I mean, the same for Puyo, but
yeah,
until recently.
I forgot it. Pokemon Puzzle League was the same thing, but yeah, you're right. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Well, I think we've covered that one pretty well. Let's move on to the next one, which is Mario's Super Picross. I'm going to let Andy describe what this game is because I'm still not sure, and I know he's a fan.
Very smart.
Oh, man.
Very smart choice.
Oh, I love Picross. It's kind of triggers the same sort of activity like a Sudoku puzzle does or a crossword puzzle. That type of logic. And for those that aren't familiar, it's like a grid. In this case, I think it's 10 by 10 for the most part. They probably get bigger. And numbers on the side and on the top, and it just tells you how many blocks you would fill in that row. And if it says a 10, you fill in all of them. If it's like a 3 and a 3, then it's a group of 3 somewhere, with spaces in between.
Is that what that means? So if there's two numbers, it's like if it's a 2 and a 1, that means there's a block of 2 somewhere, and then there's some amount of space, and there's 1.
Yeah. So if it's like a 5 and a 4, then you would fill in the first 5 and then have a space and then the last 4.
And okay. Well, now that makes a lot of sense.
In English, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Because I never wrapped my head around that. To be honest, I've never given it enough time to like have it click. But that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But it's pretty early for these type of games, I think, to really, but they do a pretty good job of it because there's a lot of quality of life things of just holding down a button and just cruising down a whole column and, not pressing a button on each individual thing. So you can really cruise through it if you know what you're doing. But unfortunately, like a lot of the puzzles right away are just like kanji or like Japanese letters. So it's like, well, okay, I can see why this didn't come over here like right off the bat.
So is the whole point of these games just to figure out what the picture is?
Pretty much. Yeah.
That's it.
Pretty much. Yeah.
That's your reward for solving the puzzle. Yep.
Yep.
That's stupid.
But we got Mario's Picross on Game Boy here, right? In the States?
So, yeah. I think so.
Okay. Interesting. But it's weird that we got it there, but we didn't get it on
I wonder,
Super Nintendo.
Is this just a Super Game Boy rip, maybe? I don't know. Maybe.
Who knows?
I'm not sure. I think a new Picross game just came out. There's like one company that Nintendo owns, and they just make Picross. That's all they do. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I want to say it was in the last 2 months.
Yep.
And it was released on Switch?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm curious on your take on this. Like, what is your fascination with Picross games? This one, does it scratch that itch, or is it too simple?
No, it definitely is. So I think it's a really good early version of it. I mean, obviously they got better at it. I mean, if you make the same damn game over and over and over. But I don't, this, they just put Mario's face on it. There's nothing really Mario to it, unless you go farther in, maybe there's some other stuff. But from what I saw, it's not a lot of actual Super Mario stuff. It's just one of those early put Mario's face on it so it sells type thing. But, in the DS era and the 3DS era, they called it 3D Picross. So it's like a 3D model of blocks that you have to spin around and do, 3 different ways. That was definitely probably the highlight. And I don't know why they've never made another one since, because they're stupid, but.
Yeah, it seems like it would work on the Switch well.
Yeah.
Touchscreen.
I don't know why they don't do that, but that one feels a lot more like I think what this one was. This feels like they have like a little chisel, like you're supposed to be modeling whatever is coming out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Where the 3D thing, it was just like more of a huge chunk of like a big log that you modeled some sort of thing out of, where most regular Picross is just, I don't know, it gets a little bit tedious after a while, especially when you get up to like 20 by 20s and 25, and it's like 5 or 6 numbers all spaced apart. It just gets a little bit too much. But
I feel like I'm an idiot.
Essentially just like a race against the clock. I mean, because you've got a timer to complete the puzzle. Screwing up takes time off, and then if you don't get it done, you lose. But I've tried to play this. In fact, I tried to play it when it came out to the service, because you're always talking about how much you love Picross. I've heard some other people talk about it. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to see what this thing's about. And I just cannot wrap my simple little gerbil brain around how this works. Like, I got the point you were talking about with when it's like a whole row. Makes perfect sense. Like, I get it. And then I'm looking at the other numbers and I'm like, I think it means this thing. And then I hit the wrong thing. I'm like, damn it, move a block down, hit the wrong thing. So I just can't do it. And I get so frustrated that by the time I've like stumbled my way through about 3 puzzles, I just kind of give up after that. Is pretty much my experience every time.
Yeah.
I've never heard of, I feel like an idiot. I've never heard of this at all. This type of game. Yeah, I've never heard of it. And so it was very confusing. It's kind of like the first time that you opened up Minesweeper. And even then, sometimes Minesweeper feels like a mystery to me.
Yeah.
But as a kid, when you would open up Minesweeper and you'd look at it and you're like, what am I supposed to do? And you just find yourself clicking on things. That's it. And then all of a sudden you right click and find that you have a bomb of some sort or whatever it is. That's how I felt with this game. I didn't understand the concept. I didn't understand what the numbers were. And then you throw Japanese characters everywhere. It was extremely intimidating for me. And once I got to the point, so once you started talking about, what to do and the point of it, I guess I completed one puzzle. I clicked on some things, didn't know what happened. And all of a sudden it was like this weird line thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, what happened? Did I like lose? But apparently I won and I didn't know that. So I was just looking at Japanese characters, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. It gives you the very like rude game over when you fail. So you'll know when you didn't win. Like, it's
super confusing.
Yeah.
When you get further in, they do like penguins and mermaids and a whole bunch of that stuff. So, and they have like pretty good animations for it once you complete it. So
it's a little more satisfying.
Yeah. Yeah.
How far did you go?
Not too far, really, because it's pretty similar to most other games. I don't know what it is. Like, Nintendo must own the name Picross. Because like if you go on the App Store and try and search it, they just call it nonograms or something like that. I don't know.
Interesting. All right. Well, let's move on to the last one. Super Poyu Poyu 2. It's a Tetris style puzzle game. The Poyu Poyu series has since made it over to the US under that name. Around this era, though, this would have been on the Super Nintendo. It came over here as Kirby's Avalanche. And if you were a Genesis kid, it was Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Those were basically just reskins to sell it to us dumb American kids.
Get that anime shit out of there. We need to.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is like, I wish I could have understood more of this because again, very Japanese, cute little anime chibi characters. They're having dialogue, which I assume must be witty before like the battles. Who knows? It's all well done. The intro scene is great. This one sucked though, in that all the menus were 100% Japanese. The other ones were mostly a mix. So I hope I'm clicking the right thing. But yeah, very, very Tetris style game. You've got shapes and groupings of little blobs or jelly bean slime things that fall down. You're matching colors. This is a match 4 game. What separates it a little bit from Tetris is that the pieces kind of fall off one another. So if you stack a piece on a ledge, the other half will continue down the map. And it works on the same principles as 2-player Tetris, or like a bubble bobble, or not bubble bobble, but bust a move principle, where there's always 2 matches on screen, and you completing a match successfully sends other blocks to the opponent. And this is, I will say in playing this, I love this game. But these early ones like this, the computer ramp up in difficulty goes from cakewalk to get effed. And that's why I think this game and most Puyo Puyo games are really only enjoyable with another human being. And then they're only enjoyable for so long because inevitably one person gets way better than the other one. My wife and I used to play the one on GameCube all the time, and she just stopped playing with me because I finally got good that I would just like decimate her every time, and she no longer found it fun, but I enjoyed it. I don't know.
This is such a great game. I love everything that you said. When it comes to the visuals, you want to know what's happening or what's the dialogue. You really want to know. And just that whole battle concept, that's just so foreign to a lot of video games that you can create a battle game with puzzles. And we've seen it with like Street Fighter. I think there's something very similar with the Street Fighter. Puzzle Fighter. But there's a part that you just kind of like picking a character. That's a thing, even though they don't have any abilities or special things, and it all relies on you playing. And the computer does a really, really good job of making you feel good the first level where you're like,
yeah,
I'm destroying this person. Level 1, easy, slow pace, no big deal. And then as soon as you get to that second boss or whatever it is, it's like, oh, you figured out how to play the game. Now you're screwed. No matter what you're throwing at the computer, they're just throwing massive blocks at you, which is so frustrating. So for me, the longevity of the game isn't there when you're playing solo.
Right.
Because I just don't want to deal. I'll give the computer a couple of times. If I can't beat it in level 2 the second time around, nope, I'm not going to give it another shot. So I think there's some value to playing this game with player 2 for sure. But visually, I think it's one of the better ones out of the 3 that we have here, or the other 2. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think we've done Mean Bean Machine on this.
I think we did.
On this Byron Burn before, but specifically that one back in the day, I love Sonic. I was greatly disappointed by what that game actually was because it had nothing to do with anything. Other than there was like some weird, it was like based off the cartoon show, which was kind of weird, but
yeah.
The Poyu, I like you guys with Picross. I just can't wrap my head around setting up combos very well in this game. And that's really what you need to do. Like, you can't just make match 4s in this game because you're not going to succeed at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that my nephew, who's about 6 years younger than me, had the Genesis after me, and he would destroy me at this game, and I would get so irritated because it was just like something that unlocks in your brain on how to play that game, and I've never figured it out. There's on the Switch ones, there's some pretty good tutorials on how to different strategies to do it. There's like staircasing and a whole bunch of other shit, but I still can't wrap my head around getting good at this game. And like you said, the difficulty ramps up crazy against the computer and it's pretty much impossible.
Yeah. And we talked a little bit about the other one where there wasn't much reward for a massive combo. And I feel like this game overcompensates for a massive combo because one good, like, chained event just decimates the opponent. Like that level 2 against the computer, like we were talking about, you get there and you're like, I got this. And now my screen's full, and it took him one combo to do that, and I'm effed, and it just sucks. I mean, I guess it's great if you're the person who's great, but it's pretty defeating.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I think it's time for verdicts. I don't know. I can let Andy, you want to go first?
Yeah.
Which one are you going to buy? Which one are you going to rent? And which would you burn?
I'm going to burn Picross, or I'm going to buy Picross because while it's probably not the top version of that type of game anymore, there's it was still really good for its age, I think. But overall, if you're going to go to that, it's not like it's easily superseded by a new version because it's the same damn thing. So, but it's still Picross, and out of all these three, that would be the one that I want to play the most. Next would be Tetris Attack, Panel de Pon, because I enjoy the part where you kind of, like you said, you look at it and you're like, oh shit, I'm about to lose, and I don't see anything. And then you're just moving shit around just in panicking, and then you like figure out how to do like 5, right? And you weren't even planning on it. That's kind of fun. And I'm going to burn Poyu just because you got to have the skills to do it. And or the brain to figure it out. And I just don't have it.
I hear you. Biff, what do you think?
This one's tough. I think there's a clear winner for me, but then after that, it gets a little confusing. So I am going to buy Tetris Attack, or whatever the Japanese is. Yep. And it's that game, the playability in that is awesome, and it's one that's there's enough competition, enough stress, but not too much where you can just go back and play and see if you can't beat, level 16. And there's so much satisfaction to be like, made it to 17. That's pretty awesome. So that is definitely going to be my buy. After this, I'm really confused. Because I'm not a huge fan of Puya, or whatever you call it. Puya. That sounds funny. And Picross. I don't even know what's happening in that. And so I think, I guess my rent will be Puya. And, like level 1, that's good. But if I rented that, I would be pissed and return it after it. And I guess that leaves Picross for my burn, because I don't understand it, nor will I ever try to understand it. So send it to the depths of video game abyss. Ryan, what do you got?
I'm going to buy... Well, I'm looking at this from the lens of like how we played this, right? This was a solo endeavor. I think it would change maybe if it wasn't, but I'm going to buy Panel de Pon because I can play that by myself. It's not dependent on having another person there, and I'm going to get a lot of enjoyment out of it. It's a simple game, but the mechanics work well. I would rent Poyu 2. I think that's a better puzzle game, but I also think the real fun and joy in it is co-op, and it's got to be couch co-op, and it's got to be someone who's comparable to you, because otherwise, let's be honest, you're not going to get anyone to suffer through a beating, and you're not going to sit there and take a beating either. And the computer is just relentless. So I think I could not continue on in that game solo. So that's got to be a rent. And then I have to burn Picross. I can't wrap my head around it. I'm a real moron, and the game makes me feel incredibly stupid. I think if the mechanics click, this would be a different story, but due to sheer stupidity, I'm going to have to burn this. So
Mario's sad.
He'll be all right.
He'll survive. He'll be okay.
It's not his year anymore,
Yeah,
that's true. I do like how that Puya. I like how they really taunt you. I forgot to mention this, like right at the beginning, where you're like, "Oh, I'm picking easy," and then it has like just 3 bosses, and it's like no problem, and it reminds you that you're on easy and getting destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
It really knocks the spirit out of somebody.
Damn video games.
They really need to put Tetris Battle Guide in on the Switch.
What is that?
It's a Japanese Tetris where there's like little orbs all over in the Tetris blocks. If you collect the orbs, you get different levels of powers that you can do on the opposite person. So like sometimes it'll flip the board and they have to do it upside down, and it freezes.
What is this black magic on?
It's a Super Famicom.
Sounds cool. Well, another buy, run, burn in the books. Time to move on to good old topics. I don't know. We did some garage sailing. I guess we might as well kick off with that because we talked about how we were so hyped about garage sailing last time. And then some of us did. Did you get any sales in, Andy?
Some. Not any luck like you guys.
Okay, yeah. So,
and when you say you guys, definitely not me.
So I've had 2 weekends of going out, very limited both times. The first one was that all city massive garage sale that Biff and I went to. That was, it was smaller than it had been, of course. Makes sense. Less people there, makes sense. We found no retro games other than one reseller. Is that correct?
Correct.
But for $12, I did walk out with 2 Xbox One controllers, a factory sealed copy of Pokemon Ultra Moon, and a Tiger Shack Shut Up and Jam handheld thing. So I done good. Like that was like,
we saw things.
Yeah, there were games there,
which was kind of nice. 2 years for that specific one, 2 years prior to that, there was nothing. Like not even a Wii game anywhere. I think Ryan found the only game in the whole building, and it was Gun or whatever it was for.
Oh, the 360. Yeah.
Yeah. For the 360 sealed.
Which I should have sold because it's dropped in price.
Right. So, yeah, it was cool to see the reseller. You know, he had a lot of, there's 2600, 5200, some Game Boy stuff. Yeah, a lot of Atari
way too much
stuff.
Atari.
He was a guy that I scored a ton of NES stuff off years prior, where I was picking up gems and expensive ones for $5, $10. So I got a little excited that maybe he had something. I think we both kind of sprinted over there per usual, elbows flying.
Well, you bolted pretty quick as soon as you saw it. Like I didn't even see the guy, and you're like, "Games, okay."
Yeah, but it was cool to see, garage sales stuff. There was those Xbox controllers were gunky and a little dirty, and they had a PlayStation 3 there that was gross looking, and so some of those, I don't know, that was kind of cool. It kind of brought it back to people's junk that we're going through.
Yeah, I do regret not buying that Game Boy camera because I've wanted one forever, and he was only asking $750. But I just picked it up. I'm like, I'm just going to throw this in a bin. I might turn it on once and be like, neat. And then I'm going to have to store it. And I've really started taking stock of storing crap I don't need anymore. So I left it. I maybe should have done it, though.
There was a life lesson at that reseller booth. There was a life lesson for a young collector that was very excited to be going through everything. He had this little backpack on, and he was taking stuff that he was interested in and like putting it under the table. And
I tried to grab a Game Boy box.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, no, that's my whole pile." And Ryan's like, "If you want it, you got to buy it now." That's how this works. Young kids.
I really wanted that. It was the original Game Boy box because it's weird because I kept all of my boxes from my Game Boys games and Super Nintendo games as a kid, but I lost that Game Boy box. I'm like, I just want that on the shelf. And this little douche who was like born 10 years after the Game Boy snaked it out from underneath me. Jerk. I mean, he didn't stay. He got it fair and square, but I'm butthurt about it nonetheless. Yeah. So
he didn't pay for it right away. I would have just grabbed it and been like, I'll pay full price for it.
Double. Yeah.
That's cool. I've been out, but nothing, the occasional sports games here and there. And it's like, well,
Yeah. And then so that was 2 Saturdays ago. And then last Saturday, I tried to get Biff to go with me, but he was big time in me. Something about a job. I don't know. And then I decided I'm going to go. I found a few things, like I'm going to hit some sales, and I was pissed. Garage culture and etiquette in Fargo, where we are, is generally poor. And what I say by that is, what I'm saying there is, we have a real problem with people putting signs out for garage sales and then not opening them.
Yes.
And it always irritates me. And I shit you not, I spent my first 90 minutes. I went to probably 10, 15 signs. Not a single sale was up. Nothing. And I was just like, F this. I about pulled the cord. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm pissed. I'm not going to keep doing this. And then I just switched directions. I went to the complete other side of town. I'm like, screw it. People in this area have no idea what they're doing. Finally started finding some sales, but I'm finding them now because I've wasted the prime time. I'm finding them at like the 9 o'clock time frame, which any of you who go out there and garage sale know, usually you're SOL. If you're going to find actual good quality games and stuff at a garage sale, it's if you're not the first guy, the first hour is like, you're screwed. And yeah, I found nothing. It was some of the worst sales. I didn't see games at any of them. And then I was about to call it. It was about 10:30 in the morning. Usually by then, what's the point? And I'm like, screw it. I got to go find a Mother's Day gift for my wife. So I pull up to the sale. I pull up to the store I want to go to. They're not open until 10. So I'm like, okay, well, I got 15 minutes to spare. I'll see if there's any garage sales here since I'm waiting anyway. I'm clearly not going to go home. And I go to one last sale. I walk in and like, it's a dork garage sale. Like they've got a whole table full of like all this collectible Star Trek memorabilia and stuff. There's a bunch of baseball cards, and then there's just the usual household stuff. And then I see games. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go over there. Big stack of Wii games. It's every Just Dance game ever for the Wii. I'm like, oh, okay, that's crap.
I would have been interested.
Big pile of 360 games. I'm going through them. Literally everyone is a Call of Duty. It's every Call of Duty ever. And then I look down. I'm like, great, another disappointment. I look down. There's one PS2 game. So I pull the 360 game off of that to see what it is. It's Klonoa 2. I'm like, oh, and I immediately open it. I'm like, no way this game's in here. Or if it is, it's roached, right? Mint. And then underneath that, 2 PSP games. What 2 PSP games? Oh, I don't know. Ease 7 and Final Fantasy Tactics, the Lion Wars. So like, I don't claim to be an expert, but I have a general inkling on like what's worth more or not. So like, I know I'm doing good because they've got these priced at $2 each. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do good. I'm going to do good on this. And then I got him to throw in a 45 record of Asia's Heat of the Moment. I got that for free.
Yes.
That was the icing on the cake. And then I bought the Dragon Ball Evolution movie for $1.
Oh, and did bad on that one.
Yeah, I know. I've heard it's awful, but I'm like, I just need to see it. I need to know. And I get out to my car. I'm like, okay, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, this is probably about $100, right? Like I'm like, realistically. Then I look up Klonoa 2 first and I'm like, holy crap, this game's $105 complete. And then I'm like, well, Ease is going to be worth something. Like, wow, this is like a $67 game complete. And then I was like, okay, we did good. And then it turns out the Final Fantasy Tactics I would have expected to be higher, but that's about a $25 game. So yeah, like I was just like, that's probably top 3 like pick up to value finds I've ever had at a garage sale. It was just unbelievable. Only sale I found games at. Clearly the person had good taste. And I could not believe that nobody had gotten there before me and grabbed them. It was unbelievable. So
What's strange is
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's strange that, like you said, Wii, Just Dance, Call of Duty, you think those aren't the games that would ever be
right
sitting there with that collection,
And that's probably why that person had no idea what they were worth, right?
Yeah.
Because clearly they're 99.9% a casual gamer, so they probably didn't realize the value. But yeah, so I was like, cool, and we talked last time how I want to focus my collection anyway. So I'm just going to use this stuff to sell and buy the stuff I want. In fact, I already sold a bro price. I sold Ease to Retro Rob. He was interested. So
I don't know that game. Is that YS? The
yes,
YS game?
It's the Wise game. Yep.
Yeah, YS game.
So I shipped that off to him, and then I've got the other stuff listed. I'm going to keep Klonoa too for now, only because I really like the Klonoa games, and I never did play through that one. So I'm going to play through it, and then I'll decide if I want to hang on to that. Honestly, there's almost no harm in keeping it because I assume that price is only going to go up.
Well, I mean,
we'll see.
It would stay the same as like Klonoa 1, which has never gone down. So I would imagine it only goes up if,
Yep. Yeah. So beyond excited.
And past the prime time of garage sailing. So that gives me hope that there's stuff out there somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I got a couple comments like that on Facebook or Twitter too. People are like, oh, you give me hope. I'm like, hey, I was striking out hardcore. Like, I'm just as shocked at this as anybody, but yeah, I'm fully amped up now.
That's
awesome. I might have to take a couple half days on Fridays too and really hit those lunch, because those 11 to noon, man, those are always the winners.
I'm wide open.
Okay. Well, I got 4 hours PTO I can throw around. We'll see what happens. I don't think I got any meetings this Friday either. So yeah.
I'm the guy out cruising Thursdays beating you.
He's knocking on doors. They don't even have signs. He's knocking on doors.
The Thursday market is killing me. Makes me jealous that you can get out there and get those.
It's kind of ridiculous though, that, like you said, like 9 o'clock on Saturday, half the people having them are like, why are we even doing this anymore? We sold everything,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's probably why I went to so many non-sales, right? They're like, well, we cleared everything out last night, so yeah. So I'm genuinely excited. I'd really, I didn't spend a lot of time on it, and I came out ahead and had a good time and got a good story out of it. So hopefully that continues. I did not ask though. Like, I used to be way more aggressive on the, you have this? No. What about this and this? No. Like, what about no? And then they get pissed, but
Now you just don't even try. You just walk up to table, nothing, turn around, walk out.
Well, I can't say that it's ever worked. I can't say that anyone's ever pulled out something after I've said that. They've told me they've sold it, which sucks.
That's worse. I don't want to know that.
Yeah. Or I did have the person who I bought Duck Hunt from one time. I was like, do you have any other Nintendo games? Oh yeah, I got a whole box in the house, but I'm keeping those. I'm like, I hate you. Okay.
Sometimes you get a phone number and then you never, or they get your phone number and they never call back either.
I've never gotten a call back. Yeah. I need to change that up and just start getting people's phone numbers for me to call them and just bug the hell out of them. Yeah.
So this brings me up to an interesting topic that I've been kind of curious about. So obviously, garage sailing, now's the time to be hunting for your collection and growing your collection. So I got a young boy that is starting to get the itch to collect. And so my son has approached me and said, hey, I'd like to start collecting video games because my collection's not good enough. He wants to do his own collection of video games. He doesn't know what he wants to collect yet, but he's like, I just, maybe I want all of the Xbox One games. And I'm like, oh, no.
That'd be a cheap collection. Most of them are like $5 or less. So
that would be a cheap collection. So, we've all collected for quite some time, and we know the pains that go into it and the money that goes into it and all of those things. do I promote it, or do I say, just enjoy what's down here? Or do I let him start filling the shelves?
I'd say you could let him get some of his own stuff. I would say my recommendation would be to start him on just because he's got the light, right? Like, let him build his own little nest of Switch games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, you don't need 2 rooms that are overflowing with games.
Or do I?
Well, does he have his own money, I guess, then? Is that...
Oh, heck no. This is
shut him
Dad's
down.
money.
Yeah, I always kind of tell my
he needs
son...
a J-O-B, but he's not getting that because he's 8.
I always tell my son, like, you don't need a collection. Like, Dad's gonna buy you the game that you want the day that it comes out anyway, so you're golden. Yeah. Like, there's no point. Like, I've never said no to a game he's held up to me. So
yeah.
I mean, it'd be fun to have a partner in crime, though, right?
Well, yes. Yeah. And this is where it's so weird. I just don't see value in the things that he's interested in, which sounds awful because he looks at my collection and he's like, I wonder if I could trade this for some kind of whatever. Because he's getting into that. We used to do that with baseball cards and trading back and forth. Yeah. And so sometimes I catch him looking at things, even in his room, like, I could maybe trade this. And so I am a little concerned that my shelves will be wiped out at some point. He'll be trading with Ryan. Ryan will be like, hey, I got this FIFA game, but I'm going to need all of those NES games.
I loved how your son was trying to get me to negotiate like sports game bundles for him at that one swap meet.
Oh,
and gosh. Like, well, here's the price. And they're looking at me like I'm going to hand over the cash. I'm like, oh, I'm not his dad. Like, I'll set up the deal and we're going to go and get that guy's wallet open. Worked out well for your son.
Yeah, he kept on coming up to me. He's like, hey, Dad, I need $10. I need $5. And then we'd give him money and he just comes back with like FIFA over and over and over again and Madden, whatever.
That was great.
Oh, that drives me nuts. So you think let him go nuts?
Well,
nuts, maybe not, but encourage. I don't think there's anything wrong with encouraging it, right? To a certain extent.
Yeah. It's a little bit like we do our collections because it's driven off nostalgia, right?
Right.
Like, I don't view anything newer as a collection. Like, I guess you could be a Switch collector. I don't know, maybe. But it's a little bit tough because, it's then more in the realm of like baseball cards where you're just a fan of whatever's going on currently, right?
Right.
So that would get pretty expensive if he's collecting that way.
Yes.
Plus, it's hard too, especially like if he gets into collecting good stuff, because we all know that kids, for them, maybe it's not true for everyone, but my kids at least suck at taking care of things. So I would be, as someone who spends a lot of time curating my collection, I would be kind of pissed to walk into my kids' room and see like stuff just strewn all over the place. And my son has had a habit of damaging games that I've let him play and keep in his room. So I don't know, that might be another sticking point. Like my Kirby collection for the Wii just got destroyed. And that is not a cheap game. So, yeah.
Yeah. My son's been kind of getting into Pokemon cards, which is exactly the wrong time to be doing that, apparently.
Yeah, don't do it.
Or the right time if he gets a good one.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, he kind of has that mentality of like, oh, this is a special one. I want to put this in this and this. But at the same time, he'll like bend it in half. Like, well, so
it doesn't fit in this case, Dad.
Yeah. He just licks it and slaps it to the wall. There, decoration. Yeah.
Which is funny because I mean, I was into that when I was a kid because that craze hit right at the exact time. And my parents were basically saying, you're wasting your time. This isn't a collectible thing. It's just garbage. You're throwing your money away. And for the longest time, I was like, yeah, it pretty much did. And now you look at it and it's like, okay, well, I guess people are stupid enough to buy this stuff after the fact. But
so do you still have your original cards? Like, do you have, like, you making some bank on that now?
I haven't gone through everything to see what's all in there yet still, but it's all there.
Good for you. Yeah. Speaking of kids and collections, and so my son does have a little bit of a collection. He's got a Switch Lite. I basically gave him my 3DS and let him build his own collection on that because I just never played it. And we went to go leave town the other day, and he wanted to play Breath of the Wild. He does not own Breath of the Wild. He carries around my copy of Breath of the Wild, and we could not find it. In my entire life, I've lost 2 video games ever. One was because my parents bought my sister a Play It Loud Game Boy, but no games, and said that she could borrow all of mine. She took my precious Super Mario Land and somehow lost that. And now the second game I've ever lost is my son taking my copy of Breath of the Wild and losing it. So we had a nice discussion about that. He may or may not have cried. I may or may not have gotten really mad. And then we never did find it. We went through everything, went through all of it. And then I was getting more and more mad because I'm realizing he's switching games out in my cases. Like, so stuff's not matching up. Like, you're trying to follow the breadcrumbs, but he just lost it. He puts a bunch of loose games into his Switch Lite case and then throws that thing all over the place, doesn't take care of it. We've got 2 cats. I'm sure it hit the ground. The cats probably slapped it God knows where. So yeah, anyway, I thought I'd take that time and kind of teach him a little bit of lesson. I was like, you were buying Dad a new copy. I mean, I played through it on the Wii U. I only have the Switch version because it was on sale, right? I was like, you're going to buy Dad a new copy. I was like, it should have gone to your college fund, but you made poor life choices. I don't know if you can afford college now, but you're going to buy Dad a new copy. And anyway, so he goes into his room. He gets like, I don't know if we probably just haven't deposited some like birthday money or something. So he had the money in his wallet. We generally deposit that into their savings though. Anyway, he gives me the $60. So then I do, I try to do like the good parenting thing and explain to him, because to him, he doesn't care. It's just whatever, money. So I'm trying to explain to him, I'm like, dude, if you had a job, this is how long you would have to work to get this money. And then he just stands there and he looks at me. He's like, I got more money. I'm like, but you won't forever. He's like, yeah, teeth. I'll just sell teeth. Because he gets money from the tooth fairy. I'm like, dude, eventually you're going to run out of teeth. He's like, no, I'll just sell teeth. And he just walks out of the room. I'm like, I have completely failed to get through to him at all. So whatever.
I love that.
He's going to be robbing teeth and selling them to us, I guess, until he moves out. And I got my copy of Breath of the Wild back. So
maybe he'll be a dentist and prove you wrong.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I hope I could retire off of him being a dentist, I guess. Yeah. So that was fun.
Yeah. To be fair, we never had games that small either, which
yeah, that's a fair point. My wife tried to make that point and I just dismissed it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, he's a little turd. He shouldn't have lost my game. But yeah, it is uber tiny. That's fair. Good stuff.
I don't know if I've ever lost a game, probably like during trades and shit like that, where you trade with somebody or you let them borrow it and then they never give it back and you forget about it or something.
Yeah. I mean, I think that experience with the Game Boy happened so early with me and my sister that I just never let people borrow games after that. Cause yeah, couldn't do it. Couldn't justify it.
Yeah.
I see Andy has maybe seen the greatest cinematic experience of 2021. Is that accurate?
I don't think it's going to win any awards.
Not even like a Razzie?
Maybe. I don't know. It's not bad either. We're talking about Mortal Kombat, of course.
You gotta scream it.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
What's the theme song there?
Yeah,
it was retooled. I heard
they
right?
did like a slowed down version of it.
What?
Yeah.
It's a dramatic scene. Dun.
It kind of builds up to it a little bit. I mean, obviously in the credits, it kind of had the more of it, but Mortal Kombat. Yeah. It's okay. I still think I like the original better, but this just seems, I don't know. They could have done more, I think, with an R-rated version.
I heard there was a lot of, because it was R-rated, I heard there was a lot of focus on like the fatalities and the gore. Is that accurate?
There's a few of them, yes. But they don't definitely go out of their way. Like you would think every fight would end in a fatality, but it kind of doesn't. There's just maybe a few. But yeah, I don't know. It all focuses on a character which I'm not familiar with. It's like Cole Young or something. And maybe he's in the new ones. I haven't played any of the new ones. So
I've heard he's non-game related. They brought in like somebody just completely neutral to be the main character.
Okay. But he's like the descendant of Scorpion, basically. And
yeah,
yeah. It was like a whole other thing that just doesn't need to be in a movie that's about fighting. Like, that's why I love the original so much, because it's just like, here's the characters, they're going to an island and they're going to beat the shit out of each other. And that's pretty much what that movie was, you know?
That's all you need.
Right. But
give your thumbs a break and just watch it on TV.
Yeah, exactly.
So did you see this in the theater, or was it on like HBO or something?
Yeah, it's on HBO. So
okay.
Till the 23rd, I think.
So you think this is probably like number 2, like behind the first one?
Yeah.
The first one's still better, because like the second one was awful.
Oh yeah, the second one it's funny for how bad it is.
It's funny bad, yeah.
I don't know. I've heard there's like some other stuff out there that I've never seen that's pretty good, but as far as the mainline movies, yeah.
So if you're a fan of if you're aware of the source materials, I assume it's worth a watch at that point then. Maybe not for somebody who's not familiar at all.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely do you're going to hear Get Over Here and Fatality and, Flawless and all that stuff. Like, they definitely do a lot of that, but.
Okay, I did hear somebody else talking about it, and they said the Get Over Here thing was funny because that character only spoke like Japanese, except for that phrase is in English.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah. But he was in hell for many years, so maybe he picked up English along the way.
He picked up a little.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I like it. So I got a movie story too. So I haven't told too many people this because I haven't wanted to lose my opportunity to get the tickets. Maybe people aren't clamoring for them, but I found out that in the lead up for Fast and Furious 9, they're doing quote unquote
900.
Yeah,
I think
right.
it is.
So they're doing this quote unquote Fast Fridays where they're nationally screening the old movies every Friday in order sequentially leading up to the new film. And the tickets are free. You just have to be first come, first serve. They become available the 1 week prior. So I was like, whatever, free movie, I'll do this. So I've got tickets this week already to go see number 2, but last week we got to go see the Fast and the Furious 1, and I got 4 tickets. And then I'm like trying to remember, because it's been so long since I've seen this movie. I was like, I know it's PG-13, but I'm like, how far did it go? Because I'm taking my whole family. And the answer is just enough to make it like almost like I'm going to have to cover my kids' eyes and like feel guilty about bringing them here, but not quite. There was a couple scenes like early on.
I was trying to think what was in there.
So there's a scene right away in that first race where the chick comes up to one of the racers, is like, see these, baby, these are yours. Like has it, like puts his hands on her tits, and she's like, and if you win this race, she's also yours. I was like, oh God, this is so bad. And then there's like a scene with Dom and
Ryder's like, I can't wait to get my license.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's a scene with Dom and his girlfriend where it's like getting to the point where it's like cutting in and out with this montage and they're grinding on the couch a little bit. It doesn't really get further than that. So yeah, that's what I mean, to where I was like, they've probably seen worse stuff on TV in passing, right? I'm guessing. And then there are some people getting shot. which is maybe not great. But again, I don't know. I don't think I screwed them up too bad. They both actually came out of it super jazzed. They loved the movie for some reason. And my kids are not like into cars or anything. So I was kind of surprised by that. So yeah, they're all pumped to go see the second one now. And
were they yelling at you to like drive fast on the way home?
No, they were not.
Drift,
not.
Dad, drift.
Yeah, I was surprised at how much they picked up on it too. Like I wasn't sure if they were going to get the whole like undercover cop thing and like how that worked, but yeah, I don't know. I suppose
What's
my
the
son.
second one? Is it? When's the Tokyo?
That's
Tokyo
3.
drift happen. That's 3. Okay.
And I don't think I've seen. I think I maybe saw parts of 4 and parts of 5, but I don't think I've seen anything after.
I've only seen 1, like number 1. That's all I've seen.
Which is
after 3, it gets insane because then it's like Hollywood Michael Bay explosion, like super unrealistic, could never happen in a million years. It goes off the rails.
Yeah, like in like the last few ones, they'll have like 1 second of a girl by a car and be like, well, we have to put it in here because that's what it's supposed to be. But like that's pretty much what half that first movie was the you know, the scene, the racing scene, basically.
Yep. Yeah, and it's great too because they don't show any trailers. There's just like a little promo for the new one, which, oh my gosh, what a diarrhea trailer for that. Literally, Dom drives off of a cliff, but manages to catch a cable and pinches it under the wheel of his car because 2 helicopters are chasing him. He then Tarzans the entire car around a mountain, flips it over onto like a cliff ledge, rolls it, and then they just stop perfectly on this ledge.
And then he drives
and then
off.
the helicopters, no, they don't drive off, but the helicopter's like, car disappeared. And I'm just watching that. And I'm like, that is the dumbest 10 seconds of footage I've ever seen in my life. That can't happen.
Do you think there are diehard Fast and the Furious people out there?
They keep making them. I heard that they're going to allow them to do 12. They're going to cap it at 12. That means there's 4 movies yet.
12 Fast and the Furious. It's got to be like the longest series, I'm sure.
But like, how do you one up every one of them? Like, that's the thing.
I know. Yeah. And after Paul Walker too, like it's amazing that it continued. Like I could see you had to continue the partially completed one, but it's funny that it just continued to go.
Have you guys seen the Hobbs and Shaw spin-off thing?
Mm-mm.
That is
I heard that was bad.
Awful. At the end, it turns into like I don't even know how to describe it. It's nothing that you would ever expect from that type of movie. It's like a tribal warfare in like some Hawaiian island.
Okay. So I'm trying to you're going to have to catch me up on like who Hobbs and Shaw are in that universe. Is that The Rock and
the Jason Statham guy?
Okay. When did Jason Statham get in those movies?
So he killed Han in the third one, at the end of the third one. It's so
I don't remember this.
I think the fourth one, then they were after him. He was the bad guy. And then somewhere along the line, he joined the team and was kind of one of the good guys then. But
that's kind of how it happens, right? Like your enemy is now you're like your ally in those movies.
Yep.
I did have to laugh out loud though at that theater when they're setting up the intro to Fast and the Furious, and it's just a pan of like a truck, and then it's just nothing but 13-inch Panasonic TV tube television VCR combos, and then they close the door and the guy's like, we got the good stuff coming in. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like hilarious. That was cutting edge technology.
That's what they were stealing, right?
Yeah, they were stealing VCR combo tube televisions. And it's all Panasonic too. I think there were some DVD players which would have been worth money back then. But yeah, it's just like, wow, I wonder how much Panasonic paid to have like a truckload of their crap everywhere. Good stuff. So yeah, I'll have to see how long I can keep getting tickets. Eventually I will be going on summer vacation and I'll have to miss at least one of them, but I'm not going to not go to a free movie. You know what I mean? Plus it's great because they're still in like COVID mode. So you go to the theater and there's like 5 people in there and everyone has to be spaced like so many seats apart. It's great.
I really hope they do that for RV. that RV series. I want to go see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. For free.
That's another one that they continued on after the main character died too. So,
I get tired of watching it on TBS. So
I hear you.
Commercials suck.
I want to get that theater experience with RV.
Like it. I like it. Yeah. Well, going from some fun news to some super sad news. I don't know how much Biff will weigh in on this topic, but Andy and I just kind of had our worlds rocked yesterday, in that we're both massive supporters and fans of Giant Bomb and a lot of the people that work there. And in particular, I think we're both incredibly huge fans of the Beastcast podcast, which is easily my favorite podcast. And I don't think I've missed an episode of that, minus some of the weird board game ones they do around the holidays. In years. So I started seeing it on Twitter and was confused as to what was going on. And that website runs they record their podcasts on Twitch. And it was announced at the top of the newest Bombcast episode that Vinny, Brad, and
Alex.
There you go. Yeah. We're all leaving. They were all on the Bombcast together, had given their notices. Friday's their last day. So we'll get one more Beastcast, but just kind of out of nowhere. And then Jeff Gersman isn't leaving. He's going to stick with whatever Giant Bomb becomes. But that is Giant Bomb. Those people, that's the whole thing, is the personalities there. I don't know what's left.
Yeah, and they were just recently bought in the last year to a new company. So it's really strange that a company would come in, buy that, and then not know that the entire value essentially maybe just walked out the door, Right.
And I was really amped for it because, they had announced, was it a couple of episodes back in the Beastcast, that Jeff Bakalar had left CNN to focus more on the games side. So I was like, oh, great. They're pulling him in full time, not just contributing to the podcast. I was like, new stuff. This is going to be great. And then, hey, he's still there, but it's going to be Jeff Gersman and Jeff Bakalar and whatever the hell.
Jan and Jason, who don't do much.
And it sucks because they just announced that will be the last Beastcast. So they're obviously the Bombcast is going to continue on, but it sucks that they're just folding. Arguably, I mean, I think it's their best podcast. I like both podcasts. I listen to them both, but the Beastcast was I don't know. It's weird because obviously we do a podcast and I don't know how we come off to people, but I've been listening to that podcast so long and those people are so relatable and the way they riff off of each other, you get to know those dynamics. It is almost like you're saying goodbye to your friends. Cause it's just those dudes were there every week and their banter and their input, and I don't know. I got super bummed out by that. And then I was almost choking up when Vinny was tearing up near the end of that episode. And I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, those guys have been working together for damn near 20 years, It's just nuts to, I mean, it's tough to, I'm sure something will come out about what actually happened. There had to be some sort of disagreement that a majority of staff like that would, walk out the same day.
Yeah.
And maybe by the time this podcast comes, there might be, who knows what is said and what the others maybe were doing.
Yeah. I mean, it seemed amicable, at least between everyone there, even with Jeff. I mean, nobody was at odds. So, that was good to see, but it is odd too. Cause like you said, they've been around forever. A lot of those people started at GameSpot back in the day. And then Jeff was, famously fired for not giving a good review to somebody who paid to put banner ads. And he started whatever Giant Bomb is. And it's crazy because they're some of the most respected people and veterans in that world. the amount of people that will come and talk to them at their press conferences at E3 was like nobody else in the industry got that kind of respect or coverage from VPs, execs, developers. So like, it's more than just like sad for us as fans. Like that was like, I don't know. They were so well respected among their peers in the industry that like it's an end of an era. I mean,
it feels like a death of that style of coverage, right? Because I mean, well, on one side, the E3 is over too, like that's not a thing anymore. And even the last year, their quick looks and all that type of in-studio content it was not there. And honestly, their quality is kind of diminished, or maybe their quantity. They haven't put enough stuff out compared to what they used to do. But overall, it's just a big bummer because it sure sounds like there's going to be a massive retool of what Giant Bomb is and what they're planning on to be. And you could probably safely assume it's just going to be Twitch streaming and all that garbage.
And a podcast.
Yeah, right. So it's a bummer. It's tough to say, like what everybody's doing or what they're going to do, but it doesn't seem like it's just going to be those three go do their own thing. I think they're all going to go do their own,
Yeah. Yeah. They all very much sounded like not only were they walking away from, the project that they loved, but they were probably walking out of the industry as well, at least games media.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was some funny dialogue too, when they're talking about that. And they're like, no one is meant to have stayed in games media this long. Like we've overstayed our welcome. Like when I started this, I was 28 and I had no children. Now I'm 42. Like, where do I go?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm hopeful for all those guys. Like I just want to see him continue to like have a presence to some extent in some of it. I mean, I would love to still, I don't know. But it really does sound like maybe they won't be doing content. And I like Jeff Gersman. I mean, I have a lot of respect for the guy and I like the stuff he does, but he wasn't my favorite part of the Bombcast. I really did like the dynamic that, Vinny, Alex, and Jeff Bakalar had. And I mean, I liked all of it too. And Brian's great, or Brad, but I don't know. Like, I don't know that there's enough to keep me interested in what might come out of Giant Bomb now, when 3/4 of it just left.
Right. Well, and it's because we relate to the ages of those people as well. It's just like how this podcast is a lot of, dad cast. Like if they turn that into just all younger people, Twitch streamers and stuff, you just lose everybody that probably related to everybody else too.
Yeah. I mean, but to your point, like it almost has to morph because it was clear in the last couple of years that model that they loosely threw I don't know that they really ever understood their model, but it was not going to continue to work. I feel like,
Yeah. Not on a corporate level like they kind of grew to be, at some point.
Yeah, you're not like the scrappy little subscription-based startup. Like you're now owned by CNN. Well, was it CBS? CBS sold them this last year. Now it's Red
Ventures. Yeah.
Red Ventures. Yes, there you go. Yeah. So I don't know. They'll be missed. I'm still sad and kind of confused by it, but hopefully good things come out of it.
So what's the podcast replacement, you think?
I don't think I can replace that.
Yeah.
I mean, I still have the few that I listen to religiously. I still listen to Bombcast. Bombcast, depending on like how much time I had, I guess that will just take the slot of Beastcast. But I was always Beastcast, Stone Age Gamer, and then after that, everything was sort of like up in the air as to when I would get to it. But I don't know. Maybe people out there, if you've got friends who don't listen to podcasts or need a Beastcast replacement, if you want a really poor substitute, you can tell them about this weekend rental thing that we do. But
we're also very cynical about pretty much everything.
Yes. But luckily, we're not going to walk out because we don't get paid. So joke's on you.
Wait, we don't get paid?
Oh, sorry. I didn't tell you this.
Oh.
Probably should have asked before you got like 60 episodes in.
Yeah. All right, I'm fine.
Okay.
But we do have contracts that you have to stick to.
We do.
Tattooed on our backs, actually.
Mm-hmm.
In a certain area. Some might call them tramp stamps, but we call them contracts.
Mine's stretched out so much, it's kind of even lower than that.
Mine's a taint stain.
You should go get that checked out. Well, the podcast kind of, the level went down a little bit here.
A little somber.
So yeah, if you guys don't mind, I'd like to dig the hole even deeper.
Oh yeah, let's get real dark.
Let's go.
Hold on, let me find my box of razors here.
Yeah. So we're just going to take this to a really sad place. Ryan and Andy lost their podcast, and I am losing the last piece of my childhood. So that's
your virginity.
That's really fun.
Oh, congratulations.
High five. Finally figured out what that was. So that's hilarious. So I've been hanging on to my G.I. Joe collection for a very long time. I mean, it's all from my childhood. The older I got, being, in those teenage 20s, I would pull them out maybe 2-3 times a year, just kind of check them out. Now, the older I got, I see them maybe once every 2 years or so, where I'm moving boxes and I'm like, oh, what's this? Oh, my G.I. Joes. And I'll kind of like take them out. I thought my son would be really excited about them, and he doesn't really care for them. It's not like he's always asking, hey, I want to play with the G.I. Joes. And so I know he's not really interested in them. They're taking up space. I have 3 giant bins of the G.I. Joes. So I have the command center, so the big base. I can't remember what this giant cannon thing pulled by 2 vehicles, and a lot of vehicles, a lot of guys, a lot of accessories. That was what I loved as a kid, that Ninja Turtles. I actually remember as a kid going up to our attic, which was really creepy, and we had these like giant U-Haul clothes boxes, the ones that you would hang in a box. Do you guys ever remember those? Like you'd actually hang clothes in this moving box instead of just piling them in like we do now. And for some reason, I looked in it and found boxes of G.I. Joes, like new, vehicles and stuff like that my parents bought me for Christmases and birthdays, and they just would store them in there, and then they'd pull them out, wrap it up. So they must have gotten into some money at one point or whatever and picked some things up. And I remember coming down with these toys, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I found G.I. Joes. And like, I acted like my parents never knew what an attic was. I was like, it was up in the room, and I looked into you. It was like treasure to me, where you found something that someone must have left this stuff in the house before we moved in or whatever. And so I got to bring everything down, and my parents, you could see their eyes like, oh, like, what do we do? And I remember them saying, no, those are for a toy drive. And like, we're giving them away. And then, get really, really sad. And then I forgot about them, and it didn't click as I was like Christmases and birthdays still like opening up G.I. Joe's, like, how'd you know I wanted this? I feel like I've seen this before. And so I've made the decision to part with them, which has been kind of a hard thing to chew on, but they're not displayed. Nobody plays with them. And so I've had a couple of collectors take a look, and they're actually worth a lot of money. I didn't even know that. I don't follow the values or anything like that. I mean, they were talking that just the command center alone is like $500.
Holy crap.
And yeah, when you have all the parts and pieces and for the right person, and you know, so I have some of those bigger items, which is just so strange. And so I've made the decision to part with them. However, you know, they say they're coming over. They never show up. You know, they're busy. I'll be there next week. And so I've kind of been hanging on to these bins where I'm like, I got to get them out, or else they're just, you know, right back into storage.
Because you're going to sell them all
now. I'm going to start all over again.
You're going to sell them all to these collectors or resellers, like in one dump?
Yep, they're going to take it all.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's smart.
Yeah, I don't even know how you look up the values to say, well, what's this guy worth? There's, you know, just like Nintendo games.
Yeah, I was going to say, I like how you're confused by how you could possibly find the values of nostalgic toys when you're a collector.
What I mean? But there's so many, like a Nintendo game is a Nintendo game. You know what it is. You see the label, you see the condition. With the guys, there's certain accessories that were with them, and some of these guns are tiny, and you're like, does he have this? And it's really even more so than like the video games. It's very condition based. Sure. And so I don't know like what's good condition, what's bad condition. I got a whole bunch of Purple Hearts in a bag that their legs are off, their torsos are ripped off. And I'm like, these aren't worth squat. I'm going to go throw them away. And the guys are like, no. Those are worth some money too. They're just not as valuable, but people need these parts and pieces and innards of whatever these Purple Heart guys are. Is that offensive if I say Purple Hearts? Maybe. I'm not really sure, but I'm going with it. You know what? They served our country. They served my play area. That sounds really bad.
Well,
but they are injured and
they're ready to be honorably discharged, basically.
They're ready to go to a better place. And so I've now made that decision to part with everything. It's a little tough to think about, but that's the last thing that I've had from my childhood. So
at least
sending it away.
At least you're getting some cash off of it. I've always regretted I had my entire G.I. Joe collection at a garage sale when I was in high school. And then like the neighbor kid came over and I was like, nah, man, just take them. And like I had some good stuff. Like I had some sweet Cobra choppers and like vehicles and just gave it away.
Yeah. It won't go away until they put cash in my hand. So
yeah.
I'll just sit and wait for a little bit longer.
Well, you need cash for that monstrosity you've been building, right?
Ugh. The beast. The arcade update. Are you guys ready for this?
I don't know.
Have you added a room to it?
Yeah. I added a 12 by 12 room
to get
to
an egress window on it.
Sleeping. Yeah. The 50 inch screen wasn't big enough, so I put a movie theater on the side. So last time we talked, we were talking about putting a bench in. My mom was gonna upholster it and put it together, and well, someone was gonna do it before her. They got busy, so then it went to my mother, who actually knows how to sew. I don't know how to do that kind of stuff. She got busy, and so she's like, I just don't know if I'm gonna have some time to do that, which stinks because I'm getting tired of sitting on a wood bench. My butt hurts. And so I started thinking, what could I do to make it work? And I found like tractor seats. They're not like actual like the metal tractor seats, but they're like lawnmower seats, and they're adjustable and they slide forward and back, and they got a back to them. And so I picked up a couple of those. Those showed up today. They looked sweet. And so those are almost installed and done. I got to put one more button in because I realized that Darius Burst, I need one more button for player 2 so they can continue, or else you have to be really good and make it through with no deaths. So that's about it. I think I got maybe, I don't know, a couple hours of work left and it's done. I mean, it's already playable and a lot of fun, but still waiting for you guys to check it out.
This tractor seat thing sounds weird. I'm not sure that I can picture this.
You know what? Build a bridge and get over it. It's beautiful. I don't even, that got really aggressive.
Wow, that should be a t-shirt.
I wanted the bench, but I don't know. I the materials and having someone actually do it, I'm kind of tired of waiting. So, someday that can always change. So I bolted in those seats and they're actually pretty comfortable. And they slide forward enough for me where I don't have to like hunch over the controls or anything like that. And so it works. I don't know what it's going to be like having like 2 grown men on them, but it'll be fine.
What color are they?
Black.
Okay.
They're black with the bar between the legs, and you move it to the side and slide it forward.
And it has what kind of covering? Like a rubbery material? Or
yeah, it's like a vinyl.
Okay. Cool.
Is that acceptable to you?
Yeah, I just wanted to know if I could slather myself head to toe in baby oil before I got in that puppy, and it sounds like I'm safe. So
yeah, you're good.
Okay.
They actually even have a drain in the seat just in case you wet your pants and it just goes out the bottom right into the subwoofer.
And I've been known to snit now and again, so that'd be perfect.
We know. So
for anyone who's not aware, a snit is when you sneeze and accidentally shit at the same time. So there's also a cart, which is a cough and a fart.
When are we going to get into those snit kits? I thought that was a thing.
Yeah, I saw a CJ, I believe, at Replay Games let me know he went to Duluth Trading Company, and some prick out there, brilliant prick, beat us to it. It's a thing you can already get at Duluth.
Is it called a snit kit?
No, so we could corner the market on the branding with that if we trademark snit kit and get a good logo. But yeah, that needs to happen. Still in the works.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've been up to. Arcade, done. Nobody will play it with me, really, at this point. I always ask my son, I'm like, hey, you want to come over and play? No, I'm good. I'm playing Fortnite. I'm good. I'm good. And so I sit in there alone and just turn up the sub and let it rumble. So it's my happy place.
Nice. Let those fluids drain right out the seat bottom.
Ryan, I invited you on Friday and you turned me down.
Fast Fridays, my man. I gotta be there.
You're just like my son. Just like my son.
Plus it is retro meetup.
Andy, if you want to make the trek over, you can sit next to me.
We could watch
turn the sub
every
up.
Fast and the Furious movie right in there, I'm sure.
You can.
Yep. Yes, it's possible. Well, Andy, I see you put down some interesting Nintendo news that I caught like minutes before we did this recording.
So somebody at Nintendo finally caught on to Mario being in dreams. And they're like,
the exact same thought.
And they said, what is this shit? And then they looked into what the game is and like, oh shit, we should be doing that. So now they're making a Dreams ripoff. Seems like it's maybe a little bit more streamlined, just like Nintendo stuff usually is, but
yes, Game Builder Garage is what this product is going to be called, right?
Yeah. And it seems like I think it's the team that did all the Labo stuff.
Makes sense.
So and there was some programming stuff in that as well. You could make your own little thing, do different things. So I guess this was kind of a natural way of going to the next step. I found it interesting, though, that it's a $30 game for Nintendo, which seems insane.
And is it digital only? I kind of get the vibe that it was, but or
maybe
will there be a physical?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not certain, but yeah, I mean it's kind of what a lot of programming kind of is turning into. is, making interfaces to do different things. And the actual programming's all in the background. But it'll be interesting to see how deep it goes. The trailer, it showed a lot of 2D stuff,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of that's kind of just Mario Maker with a different face. But then there was a lot of snippets of almost like WarioWare style mini games, which that's cool too. But I mean, the people I feel that want to build something like that are the people that really pursued dreams, and they're killing it on that front, and they can do a hell of a lot more over there. And I don't think it's really paying off over there either. But
yeah, and my concern with that too. Well, I had the same thought. I was just kind of chuckling at it, and some of the comments reading that, people were just like so blown away. I'm like, but this is already a thing. Are you not aware of dreams? To your point, it does seem more streamlined. But where I get nervous is the key to success and longevity with this is sharing your creations. And if there's one thing Nintendo cannot do right, it's anything that involves the internet, file sharing, or curation. So I'm a little afraid for that whole component, because it seems like a big component to this, right?
Could you imagine spending hours upon hours making a game and then be like, great, have your friends played. Here's make sure they have your friend code.
Right. Yeah. Cause like, I can't even safely assume that there will be like a popular games section. I can't even trust them to pull that off. You know what I mean?
Well, they can't even do it with their own eShop. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I think that might stifle some of the creativity with this, because if they can't get it to where people can share and have fun with it, it's going to be a nightmare. And then I wonder what the scrubbing will look like from Nintendo, because they always put so much emphasis on like keeping it family friendly. I wonder if there's going to be like a delay process to uploading, like if it's got to be reviewed by, I don't know. I'm worried about it. I liked what I saw too. I think, like what you said, I think the interface looks way simpler. I'm guessing they're really trying to get it in younger hands than Dreams could. But yeah, I think the replayability and the longevity piece is going to be hampered by their no good internet ideas.
Yeah. It, like when they were doing this type of thing with the cardboard stuff, I think that's a little bit cooler because you can see what your creation became,
Mm-hmm.
You were actually making something happen. You were watching it. Whereas this, it's like you made a game, but now you're just kind of like, I made it. Now enjoy, people. Like,
right. Yeah, that's a good point. It's amazing too how much, as we're talking about this, you're bringing up Labo, like how much that just hit a wall. Man, that was like a big buzz for like 6 months, and then fire sales, and it hasn't been brought back up.
No, shelf space was too much.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think for anyone who bought a Labo kit or two, you kind of know why you fell off of it, but it's a fun little project for kids, but it's also a nightmare, and then storing it is all
of mine are still in the box.
Yeah.
It's boxes inside of a box.
Yeah, my son was asking because he wants to really play Breath of the Wild VR, and I bought that kit pretty early on. And I was like, yeah. I'm like, you can do it. I've got the kit. And he's like, really? And then, he's asked me a couple times. He's like, you want to put that together? I'm like, I just don't have the willpower for that today. Like, I'm sorry. Like, we'll get to it at some point, but
yeah, I did the robot one, and that took like, way too long. And yeah, I don't know.
And what do you do with it once it's put together?
My son played with it for about an hour, and it's like, well, this is dumb. You're just walking. It's just, it's a robot.
You're walking with a box on your head.
It's just the robot moves when you do. So it's like, well, this could just be, I don't know.
Yeah. I think the driving one was probably the best overall package, right? But by that point, nobody cared.
Yeah.
So go Nintendo. Well, and I'll leave us off on like one last cheery little note, unless somebody else has something to add, but I found this story hilarious. The athletics pitcher Oakland Athletics, ended up shattering his pinky 4 hours before starting in a game because he was playing video games and got mad and pounded a desk. And then he tried to just play through it and ended up bombing the game for them, giving up like 6 runs and 5 hits. Yeah. So they pulled him and he is now officially on like, he's on a medical bench. And he's like since issued an apology. He hasn't apologized for his love of gaming. He says he'll continue to game, but he apologized to his team for, taking them all down.
So a couple of questions with this. What was the game?
They didn't say.
I think that's important.
MLB The Show, he's playing himself and he gave up 6 runs.
That would be so funny. That'd be awesome. You suck, man.
Yeah, I think there was something to it in his apology statement too. He's like, in hindsight, maybe I wouldn't have tried to pitch through it. It's like, well, no crap. Probably not great.
I love how a lot of pro sports contracts tell you the things that you cannot do. So you cannot go skydiving. You cannot go, deep sea fishing or whatever it is. Like all of these things that you can't do. And now there's going to be a writer that says no video games.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Or at least on game day.
Go to the bar like all the other players.
Right.
Smack your spouse around like a real man.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I had to chuckle. It was just such a randomly stupid story. And it's funny too, because even in baseball, that injury wouldn't matter to 99.9% of athletes, but when you are the pitcher and that is your throwing hand, kind of a problem.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. I think he's their best pitcher too, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah, it sucks. Well, anybody else get any other nuggets for us this week? No nuggets. It sounds like from the feedback I got, the PSP game or not was enjoyed by the audience. So I've had the request to do that for every console essentially. So I think we'll have to dust that one back off. So
love it.
Probably not the NES though, because I think that would probably be one that Biff might just walk away with.
Let me dominate somebody.
Yeah. So that'll have to make a return, but time to take us out.
That's right. This is episode 99. Thank you for listening. That means next episode is going to be episode 100. That's right. 100 episodes you've been listening to this crap. And thank you so much for that. Make sure you're sending us those emails. Let us know your favorite part of the show. Anything that you'd like us to talk about in episode 100. Any notes of encouragement. Anything that you want to say. Send it our way to weekendrentalpodcast@gmail.com. Make sure you're following us on all of our social media. Twitter. We don't have Instagram. Don't check there. Facebook, all of those places. We appreciate that. YouTube, of course. And you can find all things Weekend Rental at weekendpodcast.com. As always, friends, be kind. Rewind.
Happy birthday to all those that have a birthday and send postcards.
Aw. Bread's done.
I got purple G.I. Joes. Bananas.